why people are not experiencing success right now. And see, the problem is most people are looking for the website or the widget or the app or the coaching program. And what they skip over the two most important things, which is number one, hands down, regardless of what anybody thinks, it's mindset. If your mindset is not set correctly about yourself and how you see the world and you see opportunity, how you accept responsibility, that mindset will get you further than anything else will. But the mindset also will hold you back from more things than you could ever imagine. Number two, right behind mindset, is the fact that people don't have a scripted process. You know, scripts get a bad connotation because people don't want to sound like robots, and I get that. But you're never going to truly repeatable success at a high level if you don't have systems and processes. And part of systems and processes is knowing what to say and when to say it.
Hi, and welcome to the Loan Officer Team Training Podcast. My name is Irene Duford. I'm your host, and I am super excited today to have with me Shawn Kaplan, who is amazing. His nickname is Cap, so I'll call you Cap, but thank you so much for being here today. I am so excited that we've gotten to know each other in the last couple years, and it's just been fun to see you at events and hear you speak. And this last time that we were both speaking at an event, I said, I wish you would be on my podcast. I'd love to have you on, and you have so much to offer people, especially loan officers and branch managers and producing branch managers, because that's what you are. You're with Cross Country Mortgage, you're a producing branch manager. And for those listening, he's done $150 million of production, and he has 18 people on his team. And tell us a little bit more, Cap, about what you do.
Well, first, thank you for having me, Irene. I really, really appreciate it. And you know, you give so much honor. I'm just a dumb Vermont farm boy who happened to land in front of a loan officer 25 years ago. And I happen to work really hard, and I'm not afraid to try new things. So it's just amazing how this industry can take us to the places that it's taken us. And I appreciate you saying that. Hopefully a few things that I can share with people today will help them on their journey the way it helped me. But yeah, I'm just outside Nashville, Tennessee, here in Franklin, Tennessee. I managed a branch for Cross Country Mortgage in Franklin, Tennessee, the number one branch with Cross Country in Tennessee, I'll say.
It's awesome.
And I am a producing branch manager, so I still do loans actively myself. I have my own personal production team, which we're also number one in Tennessee for cross country. Just got to put that out there. You know, you like winning, right? We got to win.
Exactly.
And yeah, so we serve, our number one client is the real estate agent. We work with real estate agents, home builders, my past client database. And boy, I'll tell you, it's been a struggle, I'm sure, just like everybody else listening. Last couple of years, I'm ready for this thing to break loose, but we're still experiencing some success here. And so, yeah, that's a little story about me. I'm married for 20 years. I've got a 16-year-old and a 12-year-old daughter. And on a little farm outside Nashville. We got donkeys and goats and chickens. And so I get to be a farmer, Shawn, when I take off, my cap hat.
So were you always in Tennessee, or did you move there?
We moved here in 1993. In 1993, I was a freshman in high school, and my mom had remarried. My father passed away when I was younger, and then she remarried when we were 13. And when I was 12 or 13, then he said, well, I got family in Tennessee. Let's get out of the Vermont winters. And off we went to Tennessee, and boy, that was a culture shock. But so I've been here. I'm pretty integrated here, but 1993 is when we actually came here.
Awesome. Great. And tell us how long you've been in the mortgage business and how you got in.
So March 13th will be 25 years full time. So I just passed 25 years. But in 2000, I was waiting tables while I was getting ready to graduate from college at a restaurant here in a town called Murfreesboro, Tennessee. And I worked at Demas's Steak and Spaghetti House for 6 years. And I learned a lot about serving people, sales. I always made good money there. I really enjoyed waiting tables. I got to meet a lot of people in the community. And I met a mortgage guy. I was waiting tables on him. And he said I seemed like a sharp guy. Said I should look into doing mortgages. I didn't know what that was. And he invited me to come out and see him the following week. And so I showed up. He had a nice watch on, looked like he dressed well, looked pretty successful. Why not? And I went out there a week later, not even knowing what a mortgage was really, to be honest. And he told me, introduced me to a few guys in his office. And I saw these guys with fancy watches on and nice suits. And to be brutally honest, I was like, man, these guys are not that smart. If they can do it, I can do it. And he sat me down and we're having a conversation. And out of middle of nowhere, he just kind of starts fiddling around. He goes and reaches up underneath the desk and he pulls a drawer out and he pulls a piece of paper out of that drawer and he takes it and he throws it down on the desk in front of me and he goes, "What's that say?" And he points to the bottom line of a 1040 on a tax return. And I said, $442,463. He goes, "Yes, sir." He goes, "Would you like to do that?" And I said, "Yeah, I would." I didn't even ask, "What do you mean?" I didn't even ask like, what, explain. I looked at him, I literally said, "Yes, sir." And he goes, "Well, if you'll go ahead and, you want to work here, I'll mentor you. I'm probably only going to do this for another year or two. And if you do everything I say, I could show you how to make that type of money." And so I think that was the real big pivot shift, obviously, not just in my career, but in my life, where I realized that there were really good people out there that were successful, that they were really just looking for other people that were willing to work hard, that wanted to be successful. And now later in my career, I really get that. Like I see people that want to be successful. They do whatever it takes. They've asked lots of questions, and I've always been that type of person. So when I saw that opportunity, I don't even think I thought twice about it. I was like, "Yes, sir. When do I show up?"
Yeah.
And
And
he
you've
said,
done
"Well,
it
I
ever
need you in
since.
Yep." He said, "I need you in a suit and tie on Monday." And I didn't even bother to tell him I didn't have any suit and ties. So that weekend, I went to the Goodwill Superstore and got me a suit at the Goodwill Superstore.
There you go. That's how you do it. And too many people would be afraid. They would let fear stop them. Oh, well, I don't have a suit, so that's a reason. That's an obstacle. I don't know what to do, or I'm going to be embarrassed. I don't know what I'm doing. All of those things stop us from doing things that we should do. That look how it's turned out. It's what if you had said, "I don't think I can do that," or "I don't think I'm capable," or "I don't know what he's talking about. So maybe I should just try something safer."
Or I don't have the time to go and just at least have the appointment with him. Like I see so many people that already cut themselves out of their dreams by saying no. It's
Yes.
like you don't even know what the result's going to be on the other side because you've already shut it down. You've already said it won't work. You've already told yourself you're too busy.
Yes.
And I'm just thankful that for some reason I didn't think twice about it, and I just did it because you're exactly right. That one moment wasn't there. It would have shifted my entire life. I probably would have been an engineer or been miserable or waiting tables somewhere in Vegas. Like that's what I was going to do. I was going to go wait tables in Vegas and try to sell exotic cars. And like I think that Irene, the thing that why it was maybe automatic was my back had been up against the wall before. It was up against the wall at that time. I mean, I literally had like $100 in my bank account. My electric bill was due. They were going to turn off my electricity. I was already working two other jobs. So when I found out that I could do this and I could do it on my schedule and the type of money these guys made, I I just knew that that was an opportunity I probably wasn't going to be given again. And that's really kind of how I think every single day in this business. When I wake up, I'm like, I don't know if I'm going to have this opportunity again today. So might as well make the most of it every single day. And I don't think I've ever stopped doing that for 25 years.
That's so great. It's a mindset. It comes from experiences we've had. It comes from sometimes when we go through hard experiences, we know we either have to step up and do it or we're going to fail. And
Yes.
obviously, you've had a pattern of stepping up and doing things because you don't want to fail.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. The two critical things that I think mortgage and real estate messes up on right now. If somebody said, "Hey, Shawn, knowing what you know or seeing what you've seen, what would you say are the two things that why people are not experiencing success right now?" And see, the problem is most people are looking for the website or the widget or the app or the coaching program. And what they skip over the two most important things, which is number one, hands down, regardless of what anybody thinks, it's mindset. If your
Yes,
mindset is not set correctly about yourself and how you see the world and you see opportunity, how you accept responsibility, how you know that you're going to have to invest in yourself, how you know you're going to have to like not worry about what other people think, that mindset will get you further than anything else will. But the mindset also will hold you back from more things than you could ever imagine. I can't
absolutely.
tell you how many people I meet and I'm just like, they're not a bad person, just their mindset's so jacked up that I don't even want them in my circle, right?
Hmm.
And it can come from little tiny things, just like little sayings of like how they think or believe about something or themselves. And I'm like, oh, that's a lot of work. We're going to have to fix that mindset.
Yes,
Number two, right behind it, behind mindset, is the fact that people don't have a scripted process. Scripts get a bad connotation because people don't want to sound like robots. And I get that.
Hmm.
But you're never going to truly repeatable success at a high level if you don't have systems and processes. And part of systems and processes is knowing what to say and when to say it.
Exactly.
And so I think like as a realtor, as a mortgage lender, they wake up, they don't really have a great attitude, or maybe they're just, cruising through life and they're doing fine. They're just not investing in their mindset.
Hmm.
Or maybe they're in a place of stinking thinking and they're just in a rut and they're having a hard time getting up. But what they're not doing is they're not saying their gratitudes every morning. They're not saying their affirmations. They're saying that's hokey, that's silly. They're not working out or getting some sort of exercise in. And what happens is everything bubbles up from that into everything else because
Hmm.
that's the soil and that's the foundation to the roots, to the plant, to the tree, to the fruit. But everybody wants the fruit on the end.
Exactly. We just finished a WOW training class that we do live for loan partners and support staff for loan officers. And on the first, so we go in order and we always start on the first day with the very fundamentals and we end the day on mindset. It's an hour of mindset. And it's always the thing that they comment the most about because I don't think support staff gets enough. Like loan officers, they go to events, they hear they're always investing in themselves and everything, but I don't think support staff hears enough about that. And we relate it to how it works on their team as well, so that it helps the loan officer. But it is so fun to see their eyes open and to say, wow, that was amazing. You're right. And then the next day when they come back to the training, we ask them, what was your takeaway from yesterday? And there's always a couple little things, but especially that because that's the foundation of their success. And so they talk about mindset and they say, yeah, I'm going to start working on that. And here's how I'm going to work on it on the team. And it's so fun to watch that, to see their eyes light up and know that they're actually taking it and doing something with it. So
Yeah,
mindset's important.
I really think I think it's great that you make that super, super important. I would challenge you to say, what would it look like the next time if you move mindset up to the beginning of the presentation? Because what I've found about speaking to groups, and I'm still an amateur, but I'm still learning this, but leading people, speaking, even on video and social, what people comment on the most is what you should be focused on the most,
Yes.
right? And it's the same thing with me. I talked about mindset, just last week, and I've been doing it again this week with my team because I went to a really great training, and I like to take stuff from that training if it really resonates. I bring it back and I teach it to my employees, just repeat it.
Hmm.
And one of the things that I heard, and this has been leading off our team meetings, really, really good. But like one of the things I ask my team every day when we have our team meeting is we'll start and I'll say, how are you winning right now? And I'll make them go around in personal or professional. Like, number one, if they delay, then they probably have a little bit of a lack of gratitude because when you're super grateful, if you're winning, quickly you could say, well, I woke up today with air in my lungs and eyesight and my feet at work. Like I'm already winning.
Hmm.
Where so somebody's like, well, let me see, let me think about it. Usually they're going to be transactional minded. So it teaches my team to like have a desire to win and show up and see the good things. But that all stemmed from like my lesson that I taught them around mindset, which is right now, most people are just as good enough as they need to be. Most people are as good as they need to be in the mortgage and real estate industry. Right now, we have to be better than we have to be. You have to
Absolutely.
be better than you have to be to get other people's attention because almost everybody else is doing the same things,
Hmm.
right? And I think that mindset that, you know, winning doesn't make you different, but you have to be different to win, right? And
Absolutely.
everyone's like, well, my rate's this or my program's this. Well, the problem is not the programs, the rates, and the company. The problem is going back to mindset. Your mindset is that you have to be like everybody else. You have to beat the other guy's rate by a little bit. You got to beat the other guy's. What about if you focus more so on what you all do different and how there's value in that, right?
Yes.
So, like, and that gets you out of the traffic of having to be a commodity and price shop and match concessions and all this chaos going on. You'll
Hmm.
still lose deals, you'll still have price shoppers, but we should, if you're struggling with that, it may not be the program, the company, or even how you sell loans. It may be all the way back to your mindset that, hey, my mindset needs to be different. I provide a lot of value. Maybe my rate's a little bit more than somebody else, but I know I have the most thorough and extensive pre-approval process in the industry that operates 7 days a week, 8 a.m. to 9 p.m., 364 days a year, leaving no stone uncovered. We vet every loan. We upfront underwrite every loan. When we give a pre-approval letter, we close, and we can also close really fast in as fast as 10 days.
Hmm.
right? So now I'm giving value like in a way that maybe the other guy down the road, or maybe the scripted process, he's not using the words as smoothly as I am. That's the problem in our industry. We
Yes,
start bad. We measure the outcome of whether we got the deal or not, but we never rarely do we measure the beginning of how did we start this process, right? Did you write
absolutely.
it on a napkin and just start going into their social security number request? Or did you have a process built around building rapport, your value proposition, what makes you different than the competitors, and then go into the selling, right?
Yes, yes. You know, when we do our WOW training, it's 3 days. So it's 2.5 hours a day. So on the first day, we end with mindset and it carries them through to the second day, to the third day. And then we build. We have systems and processes, how to get documentation, how to communicate with clients, all of that stuff. But the mindset, having it on the first day is what really carries them through the whole way. And they love it. And I think I love what you're doing. I think it should happen more often that the loan officer, the leader comes and shares mindset things with their team like you do. I think that's really important.
Yeah, and I'll share any of these notes, that anybody wants, but like it's super, super important right now, Irene. When we came out of COVID, we were in the middle of COVID and I started preaching something. And I still preach it to this day. It hasn't stopped. I thought it would stop, but is the modern day battlefield will be the mindset. The modern day battlefield is the mind. Because
Yes.
I knew coming out of COVID of the ups and the downs of the changes in our environments and the way we conducted ourselves, our businesses. I knew it was going to throw people for a loop, and people don't like change. If you can, that's a secret superpower. I love change.
I do
So,
too.
you know, change can be very exciting. I didn't used to. I used to hate change. I grew up as a child with childhood trauma where I don't like change, but at work, I embrace it now. And it's a secret superpower. And this is something I think that like not just team branch managers, team owners, like this goes all the way down to you and you have one assistant helping you. You should be training that person and acting the part. I remember somebody used to tell me, hey, well, you could get your team on the call. And I was like, well, I don't have a team. I just have an assistant, or I just have a processor that works for other people. They're like, you have a team. You and your processor are a team. It was the mindset around it. And I started telling people, I was told a long time ago, and I've said this, but like, I think there's four main things that everybody really needs to understand if they want to like produce at a higher level. One of them is the mindset thing. You got to have a desire to win. Like, if you don't want to win at something, like you want to beat somebody in your company, winning looks different to everybody, but you have to have some sort of desire to win. And it can change seasons too. Like my season of what it looked like to win 5 years ago is different than it is now, but you've got to have some sort of competitive spirit in you that you're like, I want to win, whatever that looks like. But the second thing is, most of us in the industry, this is where the wheels fall off. You have to be learning from someone already doing it.
Yes.
Like you can't go and have somebody as a coach that hasn't closed loans. Like you and me have experience, right? We're in the trenches. We're day to day dealing with people in the business. Like we know what it takes. You have a lot of people that used to be high producers. You have a lot of people that used to be on stages, right? And you really, really should be learning from someone who's actively doing it or is doing it at a high level. Then behind that, you combine that with the third one, which is you have to have discipline. Now, this is why a lot of people get in this business because of the freedom, like, oh, I can be a realtor. I can be, I want freedom. Flexibility is what they call another word.
Mm-hmm.
But really, a high level business has less freedom. I have less freedom than probably anybody else in my branch because they look at my calendar and they're like, holy cow, how do you get all that done? I can't go anywhere or sneak away without them knowing it. Right. But that discipline is what I like because I know when I'm disciplined, I hold myself accountable. I have other people hold me accountable. I know that's when the results really, truly happen.
Yes.
But the last one is, and this is the one that, around scripting is people become what they practice. People become what they practice. And I will ask 100 different people in the mortgage or real estate industry, do you do scripting practice? And they will look at me like I'm a foreigner, like I just spoke some foreign language. Or they'll do one of these little kind of him and ha, like, oh yeah, I kind of, no, you don't. No, you don't. We do it every Wednesday. We do it. It's in my calendar. I'm looking at it right now. 9 o'clock every single Wednesday. I do it with all the captains. Every single Monday at 8:45. I do it with the commanders. Like we practice it because we're friends and we're around each other. So if we say something stupid, we can give each other the feedback. Hey, that didn't sound right, or you need to change that, or you're not following the script, right? And that's where you start producing not only a higher level business and higher production, but you overall are just conducting yourself more as a professional, as a team, which is attractive to other people out there that want to refer you and want to work with you.
Yes. As a mortgage advisor, you know that having a high performing loan team is critical to building a successful business. But training them can be time consuming and it can detract from more important tasks like generating leads and growing your business. That's where we come in. We created Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp, a self paced online course available immediately to train your team, including newer loan officers on how to actually do mortgages. Our course takes them step by step through the process from taking a complete loan application to creating effective communication with clients, referral partners, and team members. When they complete the class, they will have the training to be an asset to you and your mortgage business. Visit loanteamtraining.com and navigate to the Loan Assistant Mortgage Training Bootcamp tab to review our course details and enroll. With our training, you can confidently delegate and devote your time to growing your business even more. If you have any questions or want to find out if it's a good fit for your team members, you can go to talktothetrainers.com and set up a time to talk about it. And your team, that's another thing we teach in the WOW training, is to practice. For some reason, the mortgage business, when I got into it, nobody was there to train me. They promised training, didn't give it to me. It was awful. But I wanted scripting and couldn't find it anywhere. And I finally created my own scripting and then I revised it over the years and got, advice from different coaches and stuff. But if you don't practice every single day, how do you expect to be a Michael Phelps or a Shawn Kaplan or anybody that's really, really good at what they do, that's excellent at their craft? They don't do it without practice. But for some reason in the mortgage business, nobody taught that at least years ago, and they still don't teach it like they should unless you get a coach that teaches you that
Right.
stuff. But how do you get to be so good if you don't practice? So that is
Yeah,
one
it's
of
got
the
a very
things.
negative connotation. I one time I told one of my bosses, I said, "Well, Rob, I don't want to, I don't want to sound like a robot." And Rob was a pretty straightforward, crass guy, and he looked at me, he goes, "What are you, an idiot?" And I said, "No, sir, I'm not." And he goes, "Who's your favorite actor?" I said, "Denzel Washington." And he goes, "Does Denzel Washington sound like a robot?" And I said, "No, sir." And he goes, "Confidence and clarity are created through practice."
Yes.
Confidence and clarity are created through practice. And he's like, in other words, when you start saying a script, you make it, you know how to say it without it sounding like you're reading it from lines, right? That's also the beauty of it, because when you're building a team or you're hiring your first employee, you've got to be saying the same things. Otherwise, you're going to end up, it's not scalable, it's not repeatable. Like,
Yes.
here's a good example. There's an individual in the mortgage industry that teaches mortgage people to use something called the triangle of trust. And the triangle of trust is, "Hey, Irene, I'm so happy that Tom sent you over to me. Tom's one of my favorite realtors. You're in great hands. Therefore, I'm going to take great care of you because Tom's really important to me." You ever heard that one before? So the problem with that is, what happens if my team picks up the phone and they're like, "Oh, you're working with Tom." Do I A, want them to lie and be disingenuous? B, they might ask a question, it might sound repetitive, and the people are like, "Shawn already asked me this." See, building rapport is not scalable. So we don't need to be getting into this personal thing of, how are your kids? How's your weekend? Did you work? Did you play? That's not scalable. And I'll tell you, I did this for almost 15 years, and I recently stopped doing it because I was talking to one of my clients, and I said, "Who sent you over to me?" "Oh, Irene did. She's my realtor." And I said, "Oh, we love working with Irene. She's one of the best realtors I've worked with. I've been working with realtors for 25 years. This kid on the phone goes, "Really?" He goes, "That's odd because, my mother-in-law, Irene's my mother-in-law, and she just got her license like 10 days ago."
Man.
And I was like, "Oh no." So it hit me. My coach told me, he goes, "Stop doing that." He goes, "We don't do that on my team." He's the number one units loan officer in the country. He said, "We don't do that on my team because it's not scalable. It's not measurable. Like, people have to lie. Like, you don't want to do that. We'll build rapport when we take the application. Hey, how many dependents you got? You got any kids? Oh, cool. Where have you been living? Oh my gosh, you're from Washington." Like, rapport is built in the application,
Yes.
right? So
And throughout the process.
absolutely. And that's one of the top 10 things that we were talking about, and I was going to share with you. Number one of the top 10 was, that you don't practice and train with your employees on a regular basis, whether you have one or you have 100. That's one of the biggest top 10 mistakes that I see. And I've had over 50 employees, come through my door. I'm not a good leader by default. I'm still working through it, and I've lost a lot of people, and fortunately the right people are here and we get better and better and better.
I love that. Sharing the mistakes makes it even more important because as you share your mistakes, people understand that everyone makes mistakes and you just have to learn from them. They're not really a mistake. They are a mistake, but you learn from it, and that's what matters.
Yeah, because let me ask you this question. Let's take off our mortgage lender hats, mortgage people hats, and the training that you do with mortgage people, and let's put on a real estate agent hat. I'm giving you a lead from California that's a relocation. Sounds like a layup. They got a job here, found me through my YouTube video or something like that, and I'm sending them over to Shawn Kaplan's team. Well, let's say that I'm on this call with you. The phone rings all 5 of our desks, so we don't miss a phone call. But if, Heather was to pick up that phone call right now, and you're the real estate agent that gave us that lead and referred me, do I want Heather practicing on your client, that expensive reload lead that you just got? Or would I rather you practice and sound stupid in a team meeting together where we can laugh and giggle and improve and get better? And here's the thing. A lot of us just assume that other people are good on the phone. Like, you've probably worked in these offices where like, oh, he's so good on the phone. Okay, well, that's great. But did you say what I say? Because I've been doing it for 25 years and I have some of the best coaches in the world telling me what to say. So like, let's not reinvent the wheel. And the other thing is when you have scripting, your practicing is also for a leader or a loan officer is /audit. Practicing allows me to audit. Are they actually saying, and here's a little bit of a pain story. So we generate about 100 to 150 referrals a month from agents. Well, a couple of months ago, I said, I haven't really been in my data. Like, I'm not really in my lead tracker as much as I used to be. So I'm going to start getting into it. Well, I started inspecting it and I'm looking at the lead tracker and I'm starting to notice we're getting more leads, but our conversion rate's going down. And I start asking the team, I'm like, well, how do you open up the call? I'm like, oh gosh, okay, well, how do you open up the call? How do you open up a call? And all 3 were different. And that light bulb went off and I said, I need to audit this process more often. I've been out of the process, hands off. They're all saying different things. This is why our lead conversion rate has fallen from 90% lead to credit pull down to about 70% lead to credit pull, which is the most important stat other than leads, because if you can't convert it to a credit pull, then all the rest of the stats are going to be downhill after that.
Exactly.
And it allowed me to start saying, hey, we need to practice these a little bit more. And as I'm practicing them, I'm allowed to audit. Now I'm able to see, hey, they're not taking the initial loan script, reading it the correct way, the first phone call script, the follow-up call, they're all doing it their own way. And now here we are about 60 days later and our conversion rates have jumped tremendously now that we've been back on that scripting
That's
auditing
great. Yeah. The auditing, without the auditing, you learn nothing. The team learns nothing without the audit part of it.
Right. This is why we have an open air office concept. So everybody in my office, other than my office here, is a big giant stand, they're all in one room out there and they have stand-up desk. We can hear what each other's saying.
That's
So
big.
if you say something, and I've had people that like to go and hide in the other offices and make their calls, and I've had to tell them, hey, you need to come back out here. This is where we make our calls. Well, I'm kind of loud or whatever. I said, that's fine. Be loud. Like, we want to hear what you're saying.
Yes, that's good. Are all your own personal team members for your personal production team, are they all local there in your office?
They are all local. We have, except for my executive assistant, Pammy, she's in another country. She's been with me for 3 years. And then we have a setup disclosure desk that does all of our appraisals and everything, and she's in the Philippines. But other than that, all of our employees are local. They come in on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays, and then they work from home on Thursday, Fridays.
That's awesome. What made you come up with that particular plan? Did you try different ones?
That's a good question, especially for your audience. When we came out of COVID, I was hard-nosed. I was old school, back in the office. We're coming back to meet. Well, I got a phone call from one of my employees, and she's like, hey, what's up with this email? Back to work 5 days a week. Like, I'm not going to be able to do that. And I said, what do you mean? She goes, well, I've enjoyed working from home. I've readjusted my lifestyle. Like, I want to ask to work from home. And I said, well, you're not going to be able to do that. And so we parted ways. And that's when the light bulb went off. I was like, all right, well, she was a pretty good employee, but also, I am the boss. I need to have some sort of, a meet in the middle. And so another employee brought it to me and I said, all right, Shawn, you need to be a little bit more flexible, a little bit more a bit willing to change and adapt to the times. And so I said, in the office Monday, Tuesday, and home Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and home Thursday, Friday. I said, if the metrics are met in the previous month and we hit our units goals and where we need to be, then you can have every Wednesday off additionally the following month. If we fall under the metrics goal, you all have to give up Wednesday and start coming back in the office.
That's a great
And so,
idea.
yeah, and so it's worked really, really well because, my motto is truly like, I don't care where in the world you're at if we can get the job done. But the problem is what I found is people working from home. I don't care what anybody says. There is a drastic difference. I've done it. I've gone through 50 employees. I've seen people work from home and not work from home. When they're in the office, they're more productive. The culture is stronger. They learn more. So what my hope is Monday, Tuesday, we come in, we strengthen it all up, we get everybody going, and then they can carry that into Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at home. But we also have accountability. Like we record our phone calls for scripting. We can tell if you're on the phone. We can tell if you're on your keystroke on your computer. Like it's a blessing and an honor to work from home. It's not a privilege. So it can be taken away at any point in time, meaning that I want you to work the same or harder when you're at home than you would in the office.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's great. When you brought people on, Shawn, did you bring some people on without experience and you taught them? Because I don't know how many people are in your area to come into the office that have an amazing amount of experience. I don't know your area very well, so I'm not sure. But that's
Yeah.
what I found when I'm helping loan officers hire people. I found that if they want local and they only want local, unless they're in a metropolitan area, it's really hard to find people with experience and they don't want to train them. So how did you handle
Yeah,
that?
that is a challenge, and we have remote employees. One of my processors only come in about once or twice a month, so I don't think it's a deal killer. We're getting ready to hire a gentleman, and the biggest crux for me to get over is the fact that hey, we might never see him. He's in another state. That every other box he checks, like he's amazing. But so that's more of a me issue than it is anybody else. So as a leader, this would be a big point that I would make is I had to start understanding, is this a Shawn decision? Like, is it a decision that I'm making because it feeds something that I need, or is it for the overall betterment of the team? And
Yeah.
so I started getting to the point, I asked myself these questions, things like professional dress attire. Does that benefit me? Or does it benefit everybody? Well, it benefits everybody. You're going to close more business if you look like a pro. Like you're dressed like a pro today. I didn't have my hat on before this call. Like I look professional. But if you're coming in with a baseball cap on and a t-shirt on a Monday, then yeah, nobody's going to lie. That probably impacts your business, right?
Mhm.
But like for me, there was the work from home thing. I was like, is this more about you not being lonely in the office and wanting to come into a full office full of people and personalities? Yeah, because I'm a people person.
Mhm.
But also, I believe that culture is important and you have to be in proximity to have culture. So, can we accomplish both of them? And so I was willing to make a compromise because I realized, hey, everybody in the office, everywhere wearing suit and ties, that's a Shawn issue where, hey, can we figure out how to, hybrid schedule, dress professional, but I'm not going to put down hard restrictions. Is that a win-win for everybody? And it's a
Mhm.
win-win for everybody.
Including the clients.
Absolutely. Nobody's
Yes.
meeting with us in person. Some people still run that business. I did it for 20 years.
Hmm.
I don't believe any longer. I used to think that there was a difference of people driving to your office to bring all their documents and come to a professional space. And yes, there are rare occurrences of that, but I believe the overall general real estate mortgage community right now does not want to drive across town and fight traffic and rearrange their schedule to come see you face to face if they can get the same thing on a Zoom call and get it, by supplying the documents.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
haven't done an in-person appointment, I think, in over 3 years.
Do you get on Zoom meetings with them or some type of video?
Yeah, we do Zooms for all of our rate lock consultations. And so I still do that. I still do my rate lock consultations. I just did 3 this morning back to back. I think that's important. I still enjoy doing those, talking finances, selling the loan. I have a really high conversion rate, obviously. But my team takes care of every single thing else other than the beginning, which is the rainmaking, the lunches, the content, the relationship building, the high level meetings, things like that.
Yeah. I want to talk about your content. You have an amazing group that you just started called a community called Content Creator University. I'm a part of it. I love it.
Yes, ma'am.
And you have such great information. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Why you've done it and how it's helping people?
Yeah, and by the way, I'm honored that you joined the community. I mean, we have over 150 people in the community now, and I never ever thought that like I could do something like this. I basically I did a free Zoom call 3.5 years ago, and it was really out of frustration and encouragement from somebody else. And I said, I can't believe it took me this long to figure these things out, because I felt like I finally started understanding branding and marketing a little bit in a different way than a lot of other people that we see online showing up. And I was kind of frustrated, and I was like, man, I wish I would have been able to do this 10 years ago when I started trying to do YouTube videos and Facebook.
Yeah.
And then like somebody said, well, why wouldn't you do a Zoom call and teach other people the things you wish people would have taught you? And I said, all right, well, I'll do it. And I'm an implementer. Someone always told me, top 2 traits of a successful mortgage originator is speed of implementation and recovery rate. So speed of implementation, I've just decided if somebody gives me a good idea and I believe it and it comes from a vetted source, then just start doing it. So I booked it on the Zoom call. First call, I had 4 people on it. And second call, I think I had 8 people on it. And now it's grown to, we have average attendance around 100 people on the call. We have 152 people in the community. And so I launched my community a couple of weeks ago. And I'm so honored you're in there, because I know that you're part of some other groups and stuff, but just the support is awesome. Thank you. And
Thank you.
I want to bring people together in a community of people that are actually doing the thing at or either intend to do it at a high level. And I want to teach them the drudgery of trying to figure out how to do it right. I want to give them the hack. And so Content Creator University primarily focuses on helping you take your content and actually have it convert to contracts. That's the goal. How do we actually do all this silly stuff on the internet that we're spending all this time doing and have it actually produce results? That's Content Creator University.
Yes. And you make it very simple, when I say basic, I mean simple and doable. And you give us a challenge and then say, go do it. And then we come back and do it again. And I have really enjoyed it.
Yeah, it's, one way to differentiate yourself in everything that we do is think about a time that you've been a part of something, or you had a boss, or you had a mentor, or you had a coaching program, and maybe it was good, maybe it was great, but what are the things you would have done different about it?
Yes.
That's what you impart into your business, into your community, into your life. Like, what is it realtors hate about mortgage lenders? Like, why is it so hard to get an appointment with a realtor? Well, because everybody calls and asks for coffee or lunch, sells products, pretty much they feel like they know exactly what they're going to get. So how do we switch that to be different, to stand out from what everybody else is doing, right? And for me, like, simple sells, and I'm a simple-headed mind. So that's why I try to like make the community the things that I didn't get or I'm not getting or I would have made better in other communities, and I put it all into one. And one of those things was, Irene, was I love going to calls. I get a bunch of information, but if anybody's like me, I write it down with all these clear intentions, and then I open up my email and I'm sucked back into the vortex, and I don't do any of it. So in the community, we actually do real-time training. Then we post it with a challenge and a homework, and then people post it, share it, and then we give feedback and we audit it, tell them what's good, what we would change. And I think that's really valuable and something that I haven't gotten in a lot of other communities. A lot of other communities will have a great call or they'll audit calls or whatever, but when you go to watch the recording or whatever, they don't have the forms. You don't have the step-by-step. You can't really understand. The challenge still isn't there. So my goal is, if you can't attend the Content Creator University calls, you can go into the recording module, and you're going to feel like you were right there on the call.
Exactly. And you have the for people like me that want a process, you have it step by step. It's all written out. So we know it's very clear. So.
Right. And I also wanted to make it not only simple like that, where folks like you and me can like follow the steps, like the worker bees. Like, okay, well, step, I can do the steps. What I struggle with is the creative genius mind of stuff, right? And so by giving the step by step, you can start treating your content like a process instead of a creative project. Like, and it's a system and a process, just like we run our mortgages, just like we run our real estate. And so I want those things to be very palatable and easy to digest and easy to go and try. I like high level ideas. I love hearing somebody speak about YouTube and long form video and stuff, but like that's off in the clouds because that's a whole big project for me, right?
Exactly.
I just want to know can I post something that's attractive, that relates to what I'm doing, and people will get to know me a little bit more and produce business out.
Yes. So I have a question for you that is, I guess you would call it a selfish question, something that I want an answer to. So I just a couple years ago really got on Instagram. It just became public like a year ago, a year and a half ago, something like that. It was all private before. And I've always been on Facebook, but not on Instagram. So I still haven't done anything to try to get more followers. So my followers have doubled, but that's still not even 1,000 followers yet because I haven't tried. I haven't done anything to do it. What would you suggest to try? I know that you don't have to have a bunch of followers, and I have gotten really good results from the content that I posted. I mean, money results, like people, because they
Good.
remember. I know a lot of loan officers, and that's my audience. And a lot of people just get busy and they don't remember that you exist, right? But now they do because they see me on social media and so I've gotten it from people that I know. And so I'm more out there and I have had results. And it's really exciting to see the results that have happened. But I want to get more followers. I just want more followers because you look more legit when you have more
Yes.
followers. So,
Yes.
what's a good way to do that? If you have a bunch of people on Facebook and they all know you, do you ask them? Do you send out a message? Do you DM them and say, "Can you follow me on Facebook?" What do you do? I mean, on Instagram.
Okay. So great question. Couple of things I would do. Number one, I would ask you the question of how many reels and stories do you think approximately you've posted this week?
Oh, at least five.
Okay. So
Mhm.
you did, 5 reel
Well,
stories
five,
total.
yeah, five. But for stories, I try to do a story every day, at least one, and
Okay,
then.
good.
Mhm.
So answer to the question number one and tactic number one, if you want to grow more followers on Instagram, is post more.
Okay.
Okay. Now, easy enough said. This isn't Gary V's or Grant Cardone's session, post 8 times a day. But what I find is a lot of people simply are not posting enough because if you post something, a couple hundred of your followers might see it, but that's a really, really slow grow, right? If you were to post 3 more times a day, Irene, believe it or not, a lot of those people aren't going to see the first post, and a lot of the first post people aren't going to see the second and third post, right? Same thing with your videos. If your video did really well, most people post it and then it goes away into la la land. Every one of my videos that performs well gets posted 3 times. Now, it might go back into a trial reel, it might not go back into a reel, but my point being is you should be thinking about how do I 3x my content.
Okay.
When I was at Forward Mastermind, when I first joined it, I was at the 1x level. I was like, all right, just, I'm doing 3 videos a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I'm going to go to 5 days a week, right?
Yes.
Then when I was at 5 days a week, I was like, all right, well, now how do I 3x this? Because if something works, I've always been the type of person that it already shows proof of concept. Now I just have to double down on it.
Mhm.
And that doubling down sometimes means writing more checks to do it, like
Yes.
investing in yourself. So what I would do is I would start looking at how can I 3x the content I'm currently putting up. Number two, I believe that it's not just one thing to be busy or do a lot, but it's more so to be effective. This
Yes.
is the parable of the talents in the Bible. Make the most out of what you currently have. Don't just
Mhm.
squander it. And so, number two would be evaluating what you're currently already doing and how do I make it better?
Okay.
Okay. Now, these are simple steps, but they're very important steps. Because
Mhm.
if I look at something and I say, all right, well, that was a good video, it got some good response and stuff. How do I make it better? I'm not talking about lighting and camera and script. I'm
Right.
talking about utilization of that post. Like, what does the caption ask me to do?
Mhm.
How is it written? Does it have many chat combined with it? Am I giving away a document about what I'm talking about in the video?
Mhm.
Small little tweaks that you can be adding to it. The one tweak I would add that if you don't have many chat and you don't have the
I
capacity to
do have
set that,
mini chat. Mhm.
okay, so many chat's a game changer. Number two would be, give away something through many chat, ask them to join your email list, ask them to do something, but most people don't have that yet. So what I tell them is most people will do what you tell them to do. You just don't tell them enough. So tell the people in your post, hey, by the way, if you know somebody that you would find value in this, please share this post.
There you go.
And
Not
and
doing
and
that.
like and follow for more,
I'm
right?
not doing that. Maybe that's why. Yeah.
You could do it in your caption. You could do it in the caption and the video. Now, here's where I'm at on this level. So I say it in the video, I put it in the caption, and then I have my many chat that says, hey, if you'd like my free wealth workbook, drop the word wealth at the end of the caption, right? I've started realizing I keep it at the end of the caption. Now I've started adding to some of my posts at the very first line, comment wealth for my free workbook. By the way, did you know? And they're seeing that first,
Yes.
right? So it's small little tweaks. So to recap, magic wand answer, you got to post more. Figure out how to 3x it. Second thing is, how do you fully optimize what you're already doing? In other words, how do you just add to what you're already doing, not creating more work, just making it better? And then I would say my third one was going to be, you got to incorporate some sort of automation. I have 3 posts that went over 1 million views this month and massive engagement on them. I would have never been able to do it without automation being set up.
And that's the mini
Right?
chat that we talked about.
That's
Yeah.
the mini chat, yes. Now, the overall all-encompassing, Irene, is I believe that you will start getting a lot more followers. I've seen my followers come in big tranches. They haven't all come consistently. They come in bursts.
Mm-hmm.
And the ones that have gotten me the most followers were either when I was giving something away that they found of value, and I know which one it is because when they keep requesting it, I'm like, okay, now I need to double down on that wealth workbook, right? Or that affluent article that I give away. Or the top 10 mistakes I've seen people make with money in my 25 years of doing mortgages. And those 3 really, really pop off. Or I'm doing a contrarian belief. So I'm going against standard protocol. For example, I don't believe in putting 20% down on a home. That would get some engagement because Dave Ramsey people would come out of the woodworks. And then the people that are passionate about investing in real estate, not putting it towards your mortgage, would also come out of the woodwork. So having a contrarian belief around something is really, really popular. And that's a great way to get followers because it's going to show it to non-followers.
I love that. That's great. Thank you so much for that. That was more of my own thing that I wanted to ask you. And I could have asked you off camera, but I wanted to ask you. So other people have the same question, right? They want to know. So that's great.
And you'll pick up followers, but what I would be doing is more so measuring the activities going into the followers. And if there's an increase in the activities and an increase in the effectiveness of what you're doing, the followers will come with it.
Yes.
So focus on the measurement of how well am I doing at increasing my frequency on these videos? How well am I doing on, have I improved or tweaked some things or trying some new things? Like, for example, you should be posting 3 different videos into trial reels every day.
I have not been doing that. I need to do that.
That'll get you followers for sure. Take 3 videos that have been popular, repost them every morning inside trial reels. Change up the title a little bit, change the music, change the caption up a little bit. You just got to change it a little bit and post it into trial reels.
Yeah, I need to do that. That's been great advice. So thank you so much. I love that you always talk about things that you could have done differently or would have done differently. Just listening to you today and being on this call has made me realize the things that I need to be doing differently, even just little tweaks here and there. It's been big. So I appreciate you so much, Shawn. Thank you for being on today.
You asked a lot of good questions. What I'll do is for all of your guests, I will provide you, I made a list of the top 10 things I would have done if I could go back to before I hired my first all 50 employees, right? And I'm talking about 50 that don't work here. 50 that have revolved through, come in my door, out my door, either quit or got fired. Like, I made a list of 10 things I would do if I could do it different. I will provide that to you. I'll send you that PDF and any of your people in your trainings or whatever. And I will put a code on there for them that if they do want to know more about CCU, they can go to the CCU page and I will honor the launch call price because we just launched it in the last 30 days. So if they want to join the new community, I will honor that for your follow.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. And I appreciate you taking your time. I know you've got a lot going on and you made time for this to help people and to help me. And I just really appreciate you, Shawn. It's been so great getting to know you, and I admire what you've accomplished. And what I admire even more is how you are with your family and you take time. And I just saw on social media that you went to a concert with your daughter and you had fun, and oh my gosh, so amazing. Yeah. You have to have both in life. One is not enough. Just working all the time. You got to have some fun too. So I appreciate that about you. That's
a really good close. And that's, you hit the nail on the head, Irene. We do all of this for that. And that has to remain number one. Our family, the dreams that we've got, the way we want to live our life, you can design it. You can design it any way you want. The way I'm building my business might be different from somebody else. But the goal is that you're driving towards the life and the career that integrate as one in the way that you truly, truly want it. And if you have that vision, at least you have that vision in front of you, you can always be going towards that. Make all your decisions focused around that, because at the end of the day, our families don't really care how many loans we close. They don't really even care how much money we make. What they really, really care about is that we have margin and opportunity in our life to show them that they're important to us. And so let's design this business in a way that it serves us best and serves our families best.
Yes, I love that. Thanks again, Cap.
You got it. Thanks for having me, Irene.
Okay.